Good evening, everyone. We are here to talk about Unit 6 Adolescence High School Learner. We are the last reporter, and I am Anthony Jackson T. Sapuyot. And together with my co-reporter, Miss Cherlyn Pregoner, Miss Karen M. Singkala, Desiree Razonable, Junailin Saripa, Karil Kirisente, Crizel Tomon, Liza Shane Parohinog, Marish Tanyon, Raymark M. Tuan, and Richilu M. Robles. Now, Adolescence is the Conjugator of Childhood and Adulthood by Luis J. Kaplan. So dito, sinasabi ni Luis J. Kaplan na ang adolescence ay ang taga-connect sa childhood and adulthood natin, na kung saan dito natin mararanasan yung iba't ibang mga pagsubok sa high school life. Okay, next page please. At the end of, okay, unconsciously, students who gain admission into high school may be unaware of the dangers and stresses involved in their personal transition during the age of adolescence. Indeed, it can be a rough time for them both at home and school, although the kind of disturbing events adolescents may likely meet head-on will depend on the physical social environment surrounding each individual learner. So, nakadepende kung sino man nakapalibot sa kanila ay maaaring makaapekto sa kanilang high school life. For example, feelings of uncertainty, even of defeat, can thus arise from challenges that the adolescent learner may face, balanced by the kind of support they receive at home or in school. Kung in the Philippines, high schools, crisis situation can occur by way of the destructive culture of illegal drugs and youth gang violence. So, uso yan dati, di ba? Since 2015, ata na uso simula yung mga sukarap na term, mga illegal drugs, matagal na talagang namamayagpag ang illegal drugs, lalo na sa kabataan ngayon. So, mga kabataan ngayon is nagagamit na rin sa pagbebenta ng mga droga. And the less recognized problems of dropping out due to social problems. For example, dito ang kahirapan. So, nakakaroon sila ng problema sa pagpapaaral, tulad na rin na isa na rin dito ang relasyon sa kanilang mga pamilya, such as low aspirations and delicacy. In this situation, high school teachers and their schools are challenged to provide guidance and support so that the adolescent learner can manage their lives successfully through stresses and storms that may accompany their high school years. So, yung mga teachers natin is nagbibigay din ng effort para masolusyonan yung mga pagsubok na pinagdadaanan ng ating mga kabataan, lalo-lalo na sa high school days, yung mga students natin. So, now, for our learning outcomes, at the end of this unit, you should be able to define adolescence and explain the concepts of biological changes for puberty and transition into adulthood. Next, we have illustrate the biological, cognitive, and social-emotional changes of adolescence and analyze the issues related to physical, cognitive, and social-emotional maturation inclusive of sexuality, thereby formulating positive values on adolescent development. Now, let's proceed to Module 24, Physical Development of the High School Learners. So, at the end of this module, you should be able to define adolescence. Kindly go back to previous page po. Previous page, pabalik. Sa pinakauna. Pinakauna po. Sige pa. Ayan. Okay. Define adolescence. Next, we have describe the physical and sexual changes accompanying puberty. Third, we have identify the psychological consequences of early and late maturation, the period of adolescence. Identify symptoms, causes of possible habit disorders, and ways of coping with them. So, let's proceed. In defining adolescence, Adolescence is a period of transition in terms of physical, cognitive, and social-emotional changes. Physical transition being particularly coupled with sexual transformation. In this module, it is focused on physical development that takes place during adolescence. All the while, the aspect of individuality in adolescent development is unique to each individual, although there are common issues that depend on race and cultures, inclusive of dependence versus independence. Changes in parent-adolescent relationship, exploration, need for more privacy, and idealization of others. Now, the advent of puberty may come early for some and late for some others. So, hindi natin masasabi na at the age of 12 or at the age of 11 to 13 is exact na dyan sila agad nagkakaroon ng mga changes like puberty changes. Pero hindi, 'di ba guys? Meron nga yung 9 years old is nagkakaroon na ng menstruation, right? And sometimes 14 to 16 diyan nalilate. And sometimes nga 17 to 18 saka pa sila nagkaka-mens. So, now let's see kung ano yung mga stages na ito. Next page please. First stage, we have the early adolescence characterized by puberty, mostly occurring between ages 10 to 13. Previous page please, pakibalik. Second, middle adolescence characterized by identity issues within the ages of 14 and 16. Third, we have late adolescence, which marks the transition into adulthood at ages 17 and 20. So, yun na nga sinasabi ko kanina. Nakabase siya sa stages kung saan sila belong na mga nagkakaroon ng changes or nag-occur yung kanilang puberty stages. Okay? Next, let's proceed to pubertal changes. In all cultures, biological change comprises the major transition from childhood to early adolescence. This is manifested by a change in physical appearance. For example, sa kababaihan, tinutubuan na sila ng pimples or nagsisimula na ring tumubo yung kanilang mga dibdib, nagkakaroon na sila ng magandang balakang at mga medyo may konting taba-taba na rin, ganon. So, kung sa kalalakihan naman, 'di ba, ang nauunang tumutubo is mga pubic hair sa kilikili, sa ilong, sa baba, ayan. So, a more rapid rate of development next to the speed of growth of the fetus in the uterus, known as growth spurts. The phenomenon commonly results in a feeling of awkwardness and unfamiliarity with bodily changes. So, di ba pag nagkakaroon tayo ng changes sa ating mga katawan is nagkakaroon tayo ng like uncertainty sa feeling na, uy, bakit kami nagkakaganito na? Wala, natatakot ako, bakit may dugo lumalabas? Bakit ako nagre-regla na? Ganon. Pero it is normal because pubertal changes nga. And, ayun. In addition, alterations in sleeping habits and parent-adolescent relationship may be experienced accompanying puberty changes. Okay, next, let's proceed to the growth spurts. Throughout life, the growth hormone conditions gradual increases in body size and weight, but hormone flooding occurs during adolescence, causing an acceleration known as the growth spurt. So, dito nagtataka tayo, bakit bigla na lang naggaganito? Bigla na lang sumasakit yung dibdib mo, bigla na lang lumalaki. Kasi dyan na nag-i-increase yung ating growth hormone, lalo na sa mga kababaihan. Mas nakikita yung changes. While in the other hand, sa mga kalalakihan, pagdating pa ng 17 years old to 21, dyan pa talagang nakikita kung ano yung magiging physical appearance ng isang lalaki. Okay? Body changes include change in body dimensions. For example, leg length, yung kahaba ng paa, shoulder width, trunk length. In particular, spurt in height is ascribed to trunk growth rather than leg growth. In girls, the growth spurt generally begins at age of 10, reaching its peak at age 11 and a half, and decreasing at age 13, while slowly continual growth occurs for several more years. So dito, sa 11 to 13, nagsisimula na yung pagbabago sa katawan ng mga kababaihan. Then, after ng 13 years old, bumabagal na. While sa boys naman, begin their growth spurt later than girls at around age 12, reaching a peak at 14 and declining at age 15 and a half. Sa age 16 and one-fourth, girls reach 98% of their adult height. So sa 16 years old, um, parang dyan na natin nalalaman kung gaano lang ba katangka ng isang babae. And while boys do so at age 17 and one-fourth rather. So at 17, yung mga kalalakihan is bigla na lang lumalaki. So as you can observe, when we were in high school, right? Um, yung mga kaklase natin ng elementary, yung mga kababaihan natin is 'di ba mas matatangkad kaysa sa mga kalalakihan. But then nung nakaapak na tayo ng high school, yung ating mga kababaihan ang mas maliit sa atin ng mga kalalakihan. Okay? The muscle, the muscles also grow in terms of size and strength, while a similar spurt occurs for weight, muscle size, head, and face maturation, and especially the development of the reproductive organs. Briefly, all the muscular and skeletal dimensions appear to take part in the growth spurt during adolescence. So, that's all my report, and I will pass the floor to Miss Cherlyn to continue our presentation.
Okay, good morning everyone. I am cherlyn. I will be going to discuss the sexual maturity. The series of hormonal changes accompanying puberty is complex. Hormones are recognized to be powerful and highly specialized chemical substances that interact with body cells. The entire process of sexual maturation is signaled by the hypothalamus glands, hormones acting on the pituitary glands hormones. Okay. Females may notice the changes begin between 8 to 16 years old, and ang boys naman may notice the changes between 9 to 14 years old. Diba? Have you observed tong preschooler ta compare sa karon na we are and an adulthood? Diba dagan changes sa atong sarili? For example, sa mga lalaki, the changes that occurs in boys, first is their pubic hair, the capacity for ejaculation, the development of their facial hair, the growth spurt, and their voice change. Sa mga babae naman, the changes that occurs in girls, the beginning of breast enlargement, the appearance of of our pubic hair, the widening of the hips, a growth spurt, and reproductive cycle or menstrual cycle begins. All these changes occur from the age of 8 to 14 years. Along with this, there are maybe hormones secreted by the pituitary glands. The secular trend. The striking tendency for children become larger at all ages has been perceived during the past 100 years, known as the secular trend. 100 years ago, boys reached their adult height at ages 23 and 25, and the girls at ages 19 and 20. Today, maximum height is reached between 18 and 20 years for boys and 13 to 14 for girls. In the last 50 to 100 years, childhood growth rates have significantly increased. These size increases are greatest at ages when recently measured groups are teenage, but those measured in the past have not yet reached sexual maturity because they are related to faster maturation rates. For example, an aging population, which tends in have different spending and savings habits than a younger population. The expansion of a particular technology, such as the internet, the clean energy movement, and the growth in the impact investing. Adolescent sleeping habit. Studies shows that teenagers are not getting enough sleep and would want more sleep. About 90% of teenager high school students report going to bed later than midnight. Socializing with peers add to the problem, causing difficulties in waking up early and causing teenagers to struggle to stay alert and function. The teenagers are not getting enough sleep and would want more sleep. It's because we enjoy it, especially now that the internet has been developed. Diba nowadays, some of the teenagers or halos tanan ata will spend more time sa internet. For example, watching videos, reading a Wattpad, and chatting. Lack of sleep is likely caused by changes in adolescent behavioral patterns. That's all. Okay na, Anthony.
To continue the report, we may proceed to the next link. Yes, since we had experiencing technical problem at our first video. Thank you for watching.